What's going on, everybody? We're here in beautiful Itasca, Illinois. It's home of Church Street Brewing, and sitting with me, Joe and Lisa Greger, the co-owners. One of them is 51%, but we won't tell you which one that is. I had the chance to come in here and try some of their beers. It's absolutely fantastic. I got the Oktoberfest here, but first off, guys, thanks for welcoming us in here. Love your little joint here. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
Thanks for coming by. I love having you.
No problem. So talk to us about how you guys got into beer. And I know from talking with you before, it had to do with your son, who was at West Point. So can you give us a little idea on how you even got into this crazy world of craft beer? Joe?
Well, yeah, our son was, I guess, a sophomore, second year at West Point, and somehow, some way, he got introduced to brewing beer there. We're not exactly sure how that happened.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, maybe that's the right, but I am sure he was under orders.
Sure.
So, but anyhow, he learned how to brew, and when he came home for the holidays, he decided I needed a hobby, and Lisa and our oldest went out and got a beer making kit, and that's kind of how I got hooked on brewing as a home brewer, and as time went on, we ended up starting a brewery. So that's how we got into this.
How did that decision come about? Because it's a big leap from making, you know, a small batch of homebrew to the stuff that we've seen in the back here. So I imagine Lisa had a lot to do with that decision.
I did, but Joe kept looking at at brewing equipment and looking at starting a brewery. It had kind of become his hobby to just think about having a brewery. He's the opposite of most people. Most people want to retire and travel.
Sure.
And Joe said he wanted to retire and never get on another airplane again because he's traveled so much in his career. And so having a brewery right in our hometown ended up being very attractive to him, and we just decided to go for it.
Your background, Joe, is interesting. Let us know what you do and how that affected what you're doing now at the brewery.
Well, I'm a chemical engineer, and so mostly I work in petroleum refineries and petrochemical plants, which sounds totally separate from beer, but actually in terms of just processing and in terms of equipment, there's a lot of similarity.
Sure.
So
it's liquid, right?
It's liquid. So it's not as foreign as it all sounds. And I think that just being interested in chemistry and engineering, it's a good fit with production of beer.
So talk about Church Street, the brewery, how this particular brewery came about. First off, why is it Church Street? Because we're not on Church Street, we're on Industrial Drive in Itasca. So where did the name come from?
When we first started, we found a building in Addison that was on Church Street. And the brewery did not have a name at that point. Okay. And so that's when we started calling it Church Street. After negotiating with the building owners for a few months, the deal ended up ultimately falling through. But we'd already started working on the name. We'd already started incorporating and doing all those things. And when we did find a new building a few months later here, Industrial Drive Brewery just did not sound as good.
It doesn't have the same ring to it,
but in our minds, and I guess in our hearts, it was Church Street. We referred to the place as Church Street, and we couldn't come up with a better name.
So what do you think Church Street's philosophy is?
We just want to be a place where people can come and feel comfortable, get a nice welcome, get an introduction to our beers. And
what I liked about it too, and not to interrupt you, but coming in here, you were more than willing to talk about, like you said, the stories behind everything. And if you are maybe a home brewer looking to get into something like that, like I am, you were willing enough to give me some tips and tricks. So you guys are very accessible, which is really, really cool, and we appreciate that. But talk about some of the beers that you have on tap. What kind of styles can we expect if we go pick up a Church Street label? What kind of beers we're going to get?
Well, we do a lot of lager. So Helles is a traditional Munich area lager. We do that year-round. We do a Pilsner year-round. We also do a Scottish ale year-round and an IPA year-round. And then we'll round that out with various Belgian and UK styles as well. So it gives us a lot of variety, but at the same time, you'll always be able to find a lager and an IPA.
Sure. And what's neat about that is it's injecting a lot of you guys into your brewery because you're pulling a lot of that from your travels through your other jobs. You said you spent some time in Germany and the UK and Belgium, so you're taking all that experience and bringing it back here, which it just gives it that other personal level to it. which I think craft beer drinkers really like to see. I think craft beer drinkers are people who will buy a more expensive beer if they know if it's local, it's got a really neat story behind it. So I think that's pretty neat as well. But I do want to bring up Operation Support Our Troops, because we do have a lot of the proceeds of the fest are going to support that organization, who's going to be volunteering a lot for us at the fest. So thank you very much to them. But we can't do enough to help them. And by helping them, we hope that we support you guys and your family and your son, who is currently serving. Is that correct?
Yes, he's currently in Afghanistan.
And in what branch of the military?
He's in the Army.
He is in the Army. Very cool. So is there an expected date we're going to have him back here?
He should be back around the time of the festival.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get him back here, and we can all toast to him and all the troops that Operation Support Our Troops is going to bring out to the fest. So on behalf of everyone who's going to be out there, thank you to you guys and your son for the sacrifices that he's making too. So thank you very much for that, guys. And what better way to help a charity than drinking beer?
That's
right. No better way to do that. And you can get Church Street beer, is how Joe explained it to me, from Wisconsin to Bloomington, from Indiana over to the Mississippi. But no better way than to stop by here in Itasca. Stop by their brewery and try one fresh from the tap here where they make it. It's nothing better than that. Cock-A-Doodle Brew Fest, October 10th. It is a Saturday. You can get your tickets now at cockadoodlebrewfest.com. Joe and Lisa Greger, thank you very much for letting us crash your party here today.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Cheers to you guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you at Cock-A-Doodle Brew Fest, everybody.